Hi guys, in this video we're just going to look at how to find the gradient of a graph if you have a picture of the graph. Now gradient is basically just a special number that tells you about the slope of the line. So what we mean by that is whether the line is going up or whether it's going down, and how much it's going up and how much it's going down. So in order to work out the gradient, we use a formula that very simply just says the gradient is the rise divided by the run. So what we've got to do looking at our graph is pick 2 points on the graph. Now it doesn't matter which two, but we need to make sure that they are crossing over the grid lines exactly. So let's say I pick this one here, because you can see that's on the intersection of this grid line. So we can figure out, if we trace down here, that that's at 9, and we trace back this way, we can work out that it's at 4 on the y-axis. So we picked that point. Now I'm going to go up the line until I find another one that's crossing over right on a grid line. So this one here is at 12, and then if we go across, you can see it's at 5. So what do we mean by rise and run? Well, rise means if we are going from the left to the right, it means how far up or down we've gone. Now in this case, we've gone from 4 to 5, so we've gone up by 1. We've added 1 on. And when we go from left to right, we have gone from 9 to 12, so we've added 3 on. So in this case, our rise is just 1, and I'm just going to put the plus there just to show that it's going up, because that does become important. And then our run was the 3, and I'm going to put the plus again. So very simply, that just comes out to 1/3 or 1/3. Okay, so let's look at a second example. So here's another graph, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to work out what the gradient is by doing the rise divided by the run. So let's look carefully at this graph, and we're going to find 2 points where the graph just crosses over those grid lines. So you can see there's one up here, and that's at 3 on the y-axis, and it's actually at 0 on the x-axis. And then if we look further along, we don't see it cross over exactly on the grid lines until all the way down here. So this one is at 2 on the x-axis and at -2 on the y-axis. So now we need to think about this rise and this run. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to start off by looking at the run, because we always go from left to right. So it's a bit like reading a book. We always go from left to right. So in this case, to get from the first point to the second point, we have gone across from 0 to 2. So our run, I might just write it down, our run was going across, adding on 2. So we always go left to right, so the run should always be positive. Now let's look at the rise. Well, we haven't actually gone, if we go from left to right, we've actually gone down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units down. So that's like subtracting 5 on the y-axis. That means that our rise is -5. So when we put that in to work out the gradient, it's going to be, the rise is -5 over +2, which works out to the fraction -5/2. Or if you put it as a decimal, which you wouldn't normally do, but you could, yeah, that would come out to -2.5. So that tells us that the line is actually sloping down. The last thing I'll just say about gradient if we think about what we've done there, if our graph is going like this, that means the gradient is going to be a positive number. If the graph is going like this, that means the gradient is going to be a negative number. If the gradient is flat, so horizontal, that actually means that the gradient is 0. Okay. And the last one, if the line is straight up and down or horizontal, that means that the gradient is actually, weirdly enough, not defined. It cannot be calculated. So there's a few different possibilities for the gradient there. Okay, hope that was useful, and thanks for watching.